So welcome back to SMPostcards, another Widget Wednesday. Get a lot of questions about this. A lot of people want to know how to store their postcards when they first start reselling them. Not collectors, more resellers. You know, how do you find the cards? Where do you put the numbers? I got 1,000 postcards up and it takes me forever to find one. Well, over time I've come up and saw different inventory methods. Some people get really crazy and make it really hard. But the two that I recommend, one is using dividers. These little things right here. This is a plastic divider. It's got a number 1 on it. I'll show you each of these two here in a second examples, but that's a divider. So one uses dividers, and another one, which I use, is an individual number on each card. That's called the SKU number method. This is what I call it. So I'm going to show you those. Got some pros and cons of each one. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just what clicks with you, makes it easy to get to it, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that. Now, some people do it by era, linen, chrome, stuff like that. They do it by state, do it by city, statues. I found that can cause some confusion or later on, because like, what were you thinking with that card if it's got a trolley and a statue on there? City, how many boxes you need, how many dividers and stuff like that. Where using the divider method and SKU method, it just kind of keeps everything. You just got to look in one spot and look through the cards or whatever. But people have done that and they're successful with it. I'm not saying it's wrong, but to me it was more confusing because green cards are all look green to me. But again, like Hoover Dam, Boulder Dam, Hoover Dam is the Nevada, Arizona. Where were you thinking? That's my best example for that with those types of things. One person I know was doing eras. They were doing linen, chrome, divided backs. Well, it depends on what you bought. You might have more linens. You know, you got to go to the linen box. Got to go to the chrome box. That doesn't click with me. It might click with you. Remember, you just got to pick a way to do it. And I'm going to tell you, if you're just starting out postcards, you're going to change your inventory probably 1 to 3 times, 2 or 3 times. You think you got to figure it out, then you get more cards, and you get more cards, you want to change it. Then you get to a point like I'm at with 57,000 postcards listed. There's over 100,000 cards in those boxes because I have duplicates like the Navy ships. I might have 300 in one of those ships. I am not going to go and change my inventory now and touch those cards, because once you put those cards in the box, don't mess with them, is what I recommend to people. Let them sit there until you really want to do something with them, because anytime a human gets involved, you're going to mess it up. And keep people away from your inventory. I'm the only one that goes in that inventory, so I know where everything is. It's in order and stuff like that. And I got some things I'd like to change, but I'm not touching 57,000 cards. You know how long that would take me to go and change all that? And don't try to reinvent the mousetrap. A lot of people think there's a new way of doing it and stuff like that. Just pick something that's easy. Don't make it complicated, because down the road you're going to get tired of it. Now, before we get into the two methods, the divider and the SKU method, there is another formal, I don't know if it's formal, I've never went down this rabbit hole. I know of it. It's called Albert is the term used. I'll put this up on the screen. It's a context of postcards typically refers to classification system for postcards created by Edward L. Albert, a noted collector and researcher of vintage postcards. He devised a catalog system known as the Albert system, which categorizes postcards based on their physical characteristics such as cardstock, printing method, design elements, back style. If you're that type of person and want to get into that, look up Albert system for postcards. It was primarily used by collectors and historians to identify and date postcards, making it easier to determine the origins, authenticity, and historical context. If you're diving into postcard collecting or history, Albert system provides a framework for organizing and understanding your collection. That a lot more than what I want to do as a reseller. If I was a diehard collector of historian of a certain place or archiving stuff, I might do that, but there is something out there called the Albert system. I don't know how much it's used, I don't know much about it, but I do have this information here. So Albert system. 2 methods I recommend. The first one is, I call it the divider method. What that is is you take two dividers. Now, the first divider has number 1. The second divider has number 2, 3, 4, and so on. You put these dividers in a box, and in between the dividers, you put about 50 postcards in between the dividers. This number in the front here is what you put in the custom label in eBay. And that's the SKU number, I call it, but it's custom label, you put number 1. So when that card sells, you know it's in between 1 and 2. Now if you have 2 and 3, then you would put number 2. Then 3 and 4, you put number 3 in there. And this is what it looks like in the box. So when you do it, let me see if I can get this so you can see it. So it's sitting right in there. I'm going to drop this down, and right in between 1 and 2 is the 50 postcards. So say I sell a card and the custom label is 1. I got to pull out these 50 cards, and I got to look through each card until I find the one I want, and I got to double check to make sure that's what it is. Then I pull it out of the stack, how the divider works. And you can have as many dividers as you want. You can just keep going. Don't put hundreds and hundreds of cards in between the dividers, because every time you sell a card, you got to look through all the cards to find it. And knowing me, it would be one of the last cards out of the 100. So I would, if I was doing that method, I would keep them 40, 50 cards per divider. It's a good way to do it. A lot of people do it. I don't see a lot of cons with either of these two, but there is some little quirks about each one. By doing the divider and these 50 cards, if I drop this box and it falls on the floor and I got 50 dividers in there and I got 800 cards in there and they go all over the place, you're not really going to know without going into eBay with each card, find it, to put it in the right divider. You're going to have a mess. No way around it except be careful. I've dropped a couple boxes here and they've slid across the floor and stuff. So just be careful when you're doing the divider thing. At least you know what's in that box if it's sold. But you have to hunt for those cards, and it can be a mess. Also, when you have a bunch of dividers, you have 50 cards in there, and you start selling a lot of cards, some of those slots will become empty or lesser cards, so you got to put cards in there. You got to manage it that way as well, so you want to keep up with it. So if you sell all the cards out of between divider 1 and 2, number 1, you want to start putting more cards in there. So you want to look where, when you go to list, where you're going to put them. A little bit to manage. It's easy to do, very cost effective. You can use index cards as divider. You can buy the dividers. I have them in the Ko-Fi store. I think there's 10 to a pack and stuff like that. And I think I got a deal on 5 if you get 5 packs of them or whatever. But that's the divider way. You have 2 dividers, number 1, number 2, and you put about 50 cards or so in between. It depends on your personal, how many cards. And then you can go 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And when a card sells, we list it, you put number 1. When it sells, you look through the cards and you find it. Just don't drop the box. It'll work fine. The next method is what I use. And I call it the SKU number. A SKU is a certain number for a product. Custom label, SKU are interchangeable. Some downsides to that one. You need sleeves and you need the small labels. Now the labels I use, and they just print out there because I don't want to manually write numbers, because you get a human involved, you're going to screw up the numbers. I will print those out for you in the Ko-Fi store. Rolls of them, 1,500 labels, or something like that. You'd have to check and see what it is. Just give me a starting number. I'll print them out and mail them. I'll ship them to you. I have the printer here. Instead of going out buying a $100, $200 Dynamo printer, just buy the labels and I'll print them out for you. Makes it really quick. So you need sleeves, you need labels. And these are 1" by 1" labels. I do not reuse SKU numbers. So if I sell number 10, number 20, number 22, and the card has that number on there, I do not reuse it. I just put another sticker. This one's got 2 stickers on it already, I think. I do not reuse the SKU numbers and go and try to put them back in the right boxes. It's too much to manage. You're not going to run out of numbers. Just keep moving forward. on there. I think I'm at 9,539. This is one I sold that I just listed a couple weeks ago. So I'm up in 90,539. I'm not going to run out of numbers. I just keep moving forward. If a box falls, so if I drop this box of postcards here, this is about 750 postcards because they're sleeved. If I drop this box, I would be able to know what order they go in because each one has a number and they're in numerical order. Not like the divider box. I still got to be careful because it's a pain to go through and sort them all, pick them all up, and they slide. They got sleeves on them, so they like to slide across the floor. Just from experience. It was getting one off the top shelf up there. I hit the other one and it just tumbled and it just went everywhere. Me and my granddaughter picked it up. So if they fall with the SKU number, you can get them back to where they belong. With the dividers, you just know they're in that box and it can be a little of a mess. But it's nothing to stop you from using either one. You just got to be careful with the boxes. One good thing about the SKU, you don't have to look through a batch of cards every time you find one that's sold. Each one has an individual number on it. So if I sold 90,539, I'm just looking for that number. And then when I find that card in the box, I pull it out, then I double check the picture to what's sold real quick. With the divider, you got to go through and you got to pull all the cards out of between the divider and then look through each one until you find it. And I said, just like my luck, it'd be the last one every time. Not hard to do, but that's the difference. Also with the SKU system, with the dividers, when you sell the cards out and in between the dividers empty out, you start using them again. It's about the same thing with the SKU method. Your first box is going to have your lowest number. And what you do is you start pulling the boxes down and you move cards forward and fill up the boxes going toward number one. And usually when I do it about 3-4 times a year. I end up with 4, 5, 6 boxes every time I do it, emptied at the end, because everything gets pushed and tightened up on there. So that's how the SKU number works. So there's divider in between, and there's individual label. And the reason I put a sleeve on every card before I put the label on, this label will pull color and pull paper off those cards. Even if they say removable, they're going to sit on it for a while and get pushed together. It will peel off some color and some stuff, so you don't want to damage the card. And I reuse the sleeves all the time. I don't send that sleeve out to the customer. I put it in a new sleeve, then I just reuse the sleeve. Yeah, there's a one-time cost of sleeves, but it's not, the ease of doing it is pretty good. Now in summary, keeping things organized in a selling business and a reselling business can save money by reducing wasted time searching for items. I've seen YouTube channels, people can't find stuff, or hear from my friends, I couldn't find it, I looked all over for 3 hours. It's going to happen, but I don't spend that much time. I'd rather just cancel the order if I'm going 3 hours for a postcard. It's wasted. It reduces the wasted time. It prevents refunds, canceled orders due to misplaced stock, and ensuring products are stored properly to avoid damage. These cards will bend. They will bow. When I got these ship cards from that club, they had them in some bigger boxes, and they have this bowing to them because that's just the way they were stored for years. I've tightened them up in the boxes and pushing that paper together, in there, and a lot of them, the bowing's pretty well gone. An efficient system helps track inventory accurately. Organized storage also speeds up order fulfillment, improving customer satisfaction and reducing costly mistakes like shipping the wrong items. Always check before you put it in a box and envelope it to eBay and what it is. That's why I don't use bulk shipping and stuff. I don't sell enough for that. Is I check everything before I put it in the envelope that I got exactly what it is. Do I screw up once in a while? I have. And when you send one card, say you got 2 cards sold. You sent this one to one, you sent the other one to the other one. Now you got 2 conversations you got to have. So that's why I spend the time up front and try to make sure I don't do that. Don't make it hard. I see a lot of inventory. It says, rack 1, row 1, shelf 2, box A. No human being can remember all that. Each one of my boxes has a number in the front of it. Right on the front of the box. Right here. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. The only thing that number is used for is where does it go on the shelf. So if I pull 3 or 4 boxes down, I want to know that's number 4, that's number 6, number 7, and that's where it goes. So everything's still in numeric order. That's all it does. So you don't need rack 1, row 1, shelf 1, because you're the only one going in there. I just put a number on the box. When I had all the boxes in my storage unit, I had tons and tons of racks and boxes in my listed stuff at the storage unit. It was number 1 on the left all the way down to 180, 280 on the racks. And what I put in eBay is the box it was in. And that was it. I didn't do all the racks and all that stuff. Just put a number 1, 2, 3, or 4 is what I recommend. Make it easy, but keep it organized. It's probably one of the biggest things. Spend the time up front, but don't spend a lot of time. Make a process, make it a system and stuff, but defects can be a problem. I hope that helps. If you got any questions about either of these inventory methods, please leave it in the comments. People that use those methods or myself can help you out to get going, but you will change it up 1 to 3 times. I'll talk to you on the next one.